Yeah, so I changed my YouTube channel name from TESLANOMICS to just Ben Sullins because, well, there's more to the EV and sustainable tech world than just Tesla, although they are doing like kind of the dopest stuff usually. But I just
Yeah.
felt it was time to kind of break out of that shell a little bit. And with the pandemic hitting and all that, it was one of those things where I just felt like a total jackass. Like, yo, nobody can, like, y'all are dying, getting laid off from your jobs. Check out this $80,000 car. Woo! And I just felt
Yeah.
like a total dick. So I was like, this is dumb. Like, I can do better and help other people in other ways that don't fit this name, this brand. So now,
Yeah.
mostly still focused on EVs and anything else kind of really cool in the sustainable tech space, but also do stuff like personal finance and just like I'm not an expert in any of this, but I've learned a few lessons and had my a few lumps in my own experience. I'm trying to like help people avoid those as well. So just kind of wanted to help people as much as I can with whatever things I've learned on online now.
Yeah. Yeah. So Teslanomics is because you were centering in the economics of the whole new genre, but now with Ben Sullins, it's just you and you do several. Yeah, that was the thing that I did a long time ago, right? I
Uh
used
huh.
to because my
Jag.
channel has been Jehu Garcia, and so Jag35 was like Jehu Alcaraz Garcia, and then 35 was just 35 millimeter adapters. That's like the 35,
It's how old you were 10 years ago when you
and
started the
that's
channel. I
about
see.
how, and that's yeah, and that's just kind of a you know, I didn't meant for that to happen by coincidence, but yeah, so that's I've been, and I know that people always complain when you change your strategy or you change
Yeah.
your content around and people are like, hey, this is not what you do. They try to tell you what you do.
Yeah. I mean, when I first, yeah, the whole economics thing. So I'm a huge economics nut. Like all the podcasts I listen to are just like the most boring jobs report update, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm just fascinated with economics is this thing that basically is the underlying force between everything we do and it's mostly invisible and people never really think about it. Kind of like I was using an analogy like language, right? So you speak Spanish and English. I've been learning Spanish for 5 years, but unless you really sat down and tried to learn like why reflexives are the way they are or what an indirect object pronoun is, you probably don't know that. You just speak it because you just know it. And so
Yeah.
I feel like economics is a similar thing that like there's reasons why all these things work the way they work, but most people just go about their business and never take time to think about it. So I'm fascinated with that, and that was the first video that got me into Tesla was explaining the economics of saving money from charging versus gas essentially. And so I was like, the thing I encourage anyone that's new to YouTube or wants to create a channel or whatever is to bring a fresh perspective. Like bring whatever you had in your life experience or education or whatever it is that makes you, bring that to a space that you're interested in, and that can hopefully be a fresh perspective, something that people will enjoy and appreciate. And so that was my perspective very very early on, was like just looking at the numbers, and every video was like charts, graphs, like everything was like I even had like I wrote it down one time like, all right, every video needs to have data, blah, 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 and I need to create every chart, and I need to do all this stuff. And that's all great, but then I also wanted to do things like share my Model 3 delivery experience where I like got to go pick up my car and just share that with people. And I did those videos as just kind of like whatevers. Like those are like, no one's going to watch this because they're here for the charts and graphs. That was wrong, right? People wanted all of it. So
Yeah.
when I changed the name, now I still do a lot of data heavy videos. I would say those are more intense than they were before. Like I spend weeks researching them, and I actually hired a researcher and be like, I send her off on a topic and she'll go pull all kinds of data and stuff, and then I churn on it for a while and then I come up with something. So those are like less often, but they're more intense. And then in between there, it's a lot of more, I guess, like lifestyle content, you would say, like
Yeah.
doing a range test in a car or showing the difference between this car and that car, or just kind of helping spread this love around sustainable tech and sustainable living. So yeah, it's like I've evolved, I feel like, and I get it a little bit from I love Felix PewDiePie, But I love when he's Felix, when he's not, PewDiePie or whatever. When he's like, when he's talking about YouTube, because I'm like, dude, you're so fucking smart. Like you are so, like he's such a good dude. So if you listen to him talk about it, he started out as a gamer, but now he rarely does that. And yeah, there's people that are mad at him, but his whole thing is like, if he forced himself to do that one thing forever, he would get super burnt out on it, and people would be tired of watching it. So every few years, every so often, you have to kind of evolve and take it in a new direction. Otherwise, you're going to lose interest, and it'll show. Like people won't care.
Yeah,
so that's kind of the evolution here,
Yeah. I think it takes a special kind of person to just keep doing the same thing over and over for like year after
Doug
year,
DeMuro.
Right?
Do you know Doug DeMuro?
No.
Do you know of him though? Have you seen his channel?
Who's Doug?
What? Oh my God. Okay, he's an OG. Like 10 years or more on YouTube. He actually just moved to San Diego recently, and he does these car reviews.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think I've seen some of his reviews. Yeah, I just didn't know that was him.
Dude, and like if you go watch a video from him 10 years ago, and you go watch a video from him, a week ago.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing.
No
every
way.
single video starts with him standing behind the car, doing this, talking about the quirks and features, and he films it all 100% himself. He edits it on iMovie. I mean, and what does he have now? 3 million subscribers, and like
wow.
Every video is like multiple millions of views, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like I so admire his ability to just stay the course for so long. Like it's incredible now, but I'm like, no one else would do that. Like,
no, that takes a special person. I mean, I have to pivot like drastically every 5 years or so. I'm like,
you get bored, right?
This. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're making, I'm just guessing, I don't know. I have met Doug. We had dinner one time, and he lives here in San Diego, so we've hung out. But so I don't know this to be true, but I would assume he's making well over $100,000 a month in just AdSense because his videos are so nuts.
Yeah.
And he still does it all 100% himself. I mean,
You're
are you kidding me? Like, dude, when I was making like $500 a month, I'm like, yo, hire somebody. I don't want to do this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
there are definitely different strategies to going at attacking a problem or reaching a goal, right? I just heard last night I was here working on shop super late, and I was listening to a podcast, right? Joe Rogan in the background, and then he was telling his guests like, "Oh yeah, no, try to stay simple, don't get an assistant." He goes, "Don't get an assistant, because then." And then he gives all these references of assistants that went wild and almost tried to kill their process. And of course, that's not the case. Like, the most assistants are good. But he was saying, like, that means you're doing too much and you're diluting yourself too much, right? At least in his philosophy. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of like that. I don't have an assistant. I don't have employee. Well, now I kind of have a couple of people that I pay to do stuff, but they're not officially employees. I came from that, Jag35, which we had like over 20 employees, and that was a nightmare because I couldn't really.
That sucks.
Yeah, keep my finger on how I was doing in business. I didn't know enough about it.
Yeah. Right? A friend of mine, Paul Jarvis, has this great book called Company of One, and he talks a lot about that. Basically, doing less. That was my theme for 2020. Little did I know that it would literally be forced upon us, but. The concept of like I went and Porsche let me drive the Taycan, whatever, and I was hanging out with there were some other folks there. I think Nikki from Transport Evolved was there and a couple other people, and they were asking me about like how big is your team or whatever, and at the time I was like it's just me and I have a guy that edits like 2 out of the 4 or 5 videos a month I do or something like that. And they're like, really? That's it? I've got like 5 people or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't. They're like, how are you doing it? I'm like, I just do less. Yeah. I don't put out 7 videos a week. I put out 1, maybe. And I think knowing your sanity level, like how much, like if I was 25 years old, no kids, none of that, hell yeah, like let's go, man. I'm going to be cranking this out. But at my stage in life with everything else I have going on, it's just not worth it. It doesn't make sense.